Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brian Martin with your daily Manchester United news show, and we are doing something a bit different today. Usually I pre-record these, but we are doing this live. So hopefully my internet connection doesn't let me down and we can do this live. Again, I'll try not to keep it, I'll try to keep it short. Because not a ton of news right now, to be honest. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, right, bit of fallout from the City match because I mean that's all we have to talk about right now because we're not playing midweek. So I mean, we take that one match and that little bit of news and we just keep going and going and going about it, right? Because that's all we have. But I mean, I kind of said it yesterday in my video, and I'll say it again today, right? Like, first and foremost, I am firmly Amram out. He is not my guy. I think he is not the guy to lead us to glory. I think he is just way too stubborn and inflexible to lead us anywhere other than to relegation because our current form is 1 point per game. I will say it again. Our current form is 1 point per game. I mean, let's just let that sink in for a minute. So anyway, yeah, that's where we are. And again, my biggest thing, like I said, is the fact that we just aren't performing well and we aren't trying to be flexible, right? Like if we lose, but we look like we're headed in the right direction or we look like we're trying something different, I can accept that. But if we are losing and you know, it's just poor performances, like we just look like we are completely being outclassed, and not trying anything different, that's my problem, right? So that's why I'm hammering him out. I mean, again, if you look at the game, right, um, Micah Richards said it well, right? He said that when the game gets stretched, we don't look good because we don't have the legs in the midfield. When the game is tight, we look great because we've got guys who can, play quickly and play quickly between the lines. But once you ask us to get up and down the pitch or, left or right across the pitch, we're stunk, right? And so I totally agree with that. So yeah, I mean, in that note, we do need a midfielder for sure. But I don't think even if we had that midfielder, even if we had like a Casado or Rodri or I don't know, Prime Busquets or whoever, I still don't think we would do well with this given formation and the rigidity that Amram is, forcing us into. And apologies if you hear any background noise. They're doing work in my backyard here. Um, so anyway, moving on from that, just really wanted to talk quickly about this news about Amram and how much time he has left. Some reports are saying he's got 3 games. Some reports are saying he's got the full backing of the board. I mean, if you ask me, I think he's got 3 games, right? I can't think that the board is fully on board with Amram. I can't think that they are completely in unison with what he's doing. Um, so I mean, there's got to be whispers going on about other managers coming in. Those names are what Silva, Southgate, Poch, Xavi, right? So I think again he's got 3 games left. I think losing to Chelsea, you know, they're Chelsea. They're doing their thing. They've got a good squad. They aren't playing to their potential. But I still think that they probably beat us at this point. Before I was more optimistic. I thought we could get a draw there. But seeing our last display here against City, I think Chelsea also beat us. But I think again losing to Chelsea won't be, the nail in the coffin. I think if it's poor performances and or losses to Brentford and Sunderland, I think that is what will be the final nail in the coffin because then at that point we will be into are we into the next international break at that point? I think we are. I think we are. Someone tell me in the chat, or I'll look it up later. If we are into the international break at that point, because then obviously I think that would be the time to dismiss Amram and bring in someone else. Now, if you were to ask me, who would I want? And I thought about this. I would want Marco Silva from Fulham. I think he's done a really good job at Fulham with what he has. I think if he had a bigger budget, he'd do better. I know we've said that. I know we've said that with the likes of Graham Potter and others, but I don't know. Marco Silva just seems different to me. I feel like he would change the system to fit the players and get the best out of them, like he's doing at Fulham. So he'd be my pick. I mean, yeah, there's Southgate, there's Poch, there's Xavi. I mean, one thing with Southgate, you can guarantee that Harry Maguire will be starting again if Southgate comes in to manage Manchester United. Um, Poch, I don't know, maybe, maybe, because I feel like he requires a lot of mobility, and we don't have the midfield for that. Xavi, eh, maybe, maybe. Although I feel like the Prem might be too fast for his approach. I don't know. I think about that one. But again, my guy would be Marco Silva, Premier League proven. I think he'd be the best candidate there to take over should Amram get the sack. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'll come back to that later because I had another thought and it left me. I'll come back to that maybe later in the show if I don't forget about it. But let me jump into this whole this revenue news. So apparently it was 666.5 million pounds record revenue for Manchester United. Um, I kind of feel like the 666 is a good omen since we're the Red Devils. I don't know if you know, you know. But anyway, there are some comments from Omar Barada, and he said, on the field, we are pleased with the additions we have made to our women's and men's team, first team squads over the summer as we build for the long term. Off the field, we are emerging from a period of structural and leadership change with a refreshed, streamlined organization equipped to deliver on our sporting and commercial objectives. To have generated record revenues during such a challenging year for the club demonstrates the resilience, which is a hallmark of Manchester United. As we start to feel the benefits of our cost reduction program, there is significant potential for improved financial performance, which will in turn support our overriding priority, success on the pitch. Now, good words from Barada there, and good numbers there, obviously, right? Like the numbers don't lie. So how do I interpret that? I mean, I would say obviously the club seems to be going in the right direction financially. Yes, those layoffs and terminations hurt. Um, and obviously, having been laid off myself in my career at times, it's never good to lose your source of income, especially for folks who may not make as much as others, right? Because at the end of the day, that's how they're putting a roof over their head. That's how they're feeding themselves. So you feel bad about that. Um, but it seems like the club is going in the right direction financially. So maybe there's a plan to bring folks back slowly if things get better at the club, or continue to get better at the club financially. I would hope so. That would be great. But I guess the other question is, does that mean we have money to spend? And I guess my question is, or my response is maybe, maybe. Um, I mean, I look at it this way, right? Like either we don't make any more signings and we hope to place well in the league and maybe win the FA Cup and get some more money that way. And then maybe in the summer we do some spending, um, provided that the books look the way they should. Or we make a January signing and try to ensure that we make it into Europe, ideally the Champions League. And then we take that windfall, along with maybe winning, the FA Cup or something, or at least doing well in that, and then use that to then reinvest in the squad, and then hopefully, go further in the Champions League competition and other competitions, and then we kind of start to erase our deficit that way. So it's kind of like either we keep keep tightening our belt, so to say, and just bide our time and wait for the club to get better financially, or we try to invest some of what we've saved to then try and jumpstart that financial improvement and get to a better future for Manchester United, which is what we all want. So I know those are my thoughts on that. You get in the comments, let me know what you think. Now, in terms of what I was saying earlier, that investment into a player, there's obviously, transfer speculation. So there was rumors that Newcastle were in for Manu. Um, I I wouldn't blame him if he left, to be honest. I would love for him to stay, but I think he should be playing in the 10 role. I think when he came in as a center mid, people got a bit hyped about that. I mean, dying minutes of the game, fresh legs, right? You can get across the pitch, but if he were to start in that role, I don't think that that is where he should be playing long term. So I wouldn't be upset if he left. I wouldn't be, I shouldn't say I would be upset if he left. I wouldn't be upset with him if he left, because he's got to do what's good for his future, and of course he wants to play in the upcoming World Cup. Um, so Newcastle in for Manu. I also heard Real Madrid might be in for him. I think he'd probably suit them. I think he would probably suit Barcelona the best. But again, I hope he stays at Manchester United, and I hope that we find a way to get him more playing time in the 10 role. Now, Manuel Ugarte, they were saying that he's probably going to be sold sometime soon, maybe summer. I doubt January, but what I've been saying is all along, Ugarte plus cash for whatever midfielder we are seeking, right? I think if we put up cash, put up Ugarte, I think we can get the deal done for whatever midfielder that we need to improve us. Honestly, I wouldn't mind doing that in January. I wouldn't mind us putting up Ugarte plus cash in January to bring in a midfielder. Some of those people that we're looking at, obviously Adam Morton from Palace, Angelo Stiller, Elliot Anderson, Conor Gallagher, and of course Carlos Baleba. I think out of that list, Gallagher and Baleba are the most likely to. I think we are most likely to get one of those two, if not both, um, either in January or January and summer, some split of that, right? I think Baleba's head has been turned. He said he wanted to come to United. His performances, I think, kind of show a player who's disappointed that he didn't get the move. So I think all systems go for Baleba. Again, I would do Ugarte plus cash for Baleba. Um, and then Conor Gallagher, I think he can be had as well. I haven't checked his stats this season in terms of playing time for Atletico, but I would think that he'd probably want to come back to England, be closer to home and, closer to that England squad. So those are my thoughts on that. Now, again, looking ahead, next 3 games, which could be Amram's last, who knows? Chelsea on the 20th, so that is this Saturday. I will be doing a match preview for that. I will do a live halftime show for that, and I will do a post-match discussion for that. Same deal with Brentford on the 27th, who are 12th in the table. Same deal with Sunderland on October 4th, who are 7th in the table. Now, some quick injury news. Cunha, obviously, he was injured against Burnley. It was his hamstring. He put out some cryptic tweets. You were thinking that maybe he'd be back for City. He was not, obviously. And now I don't know when he's coming back. I haven't seen anything about when he's coming back. I hope this is not, we did some scans and we found some, I don't know, more damage than we thought. And this is going to be something long term. That would be devastating, seeing as how we spent big money on him and we, hung our hopes on him a bit, quite a bit. Same as Mount, though. Like, we haven't really heard much about Mount and even Dallo. So I don't know if maybe this is just kind of like the new way of doing business at United. And that is, being hush hush on injuries. So that way maybe the opposing team will be caught off guard if these players suddenly appear in our starting 11 or on our bench. I don't know. But haven't heard any news on the Cunha front, on the Mount front, on the Dallo front, on the Lisandro Martinez front. Heard that he might be back sometime in October. Again, I think when he comes back, we should maybe try him as a stopgap, as a holding midfielder. I believe he's played there before. I think he's got the technical skill. I think he gets about the pitch, in the right way. Now, again, coming back from a long layoff and especially an ACL injury, players rarely come back the same. So I think before this injury, if we were in this situation, I would try him there. Now, I don't know. But if he comes back and he's still got the legs, I'd love to try him there and see what happens. Although some people are calling for him to come back and replace Luke Shaw, which could see that as well. Yeah. Oh, very quickly on the women's front. So tomorrow the women host Brann, who they lost to 1-0 in Norway. This is that was the first of a 2-leg playoff to get into the Women's Champions League phase. It's a mouthful there. So the match tomorrow against Brann is the second part of that leg. I'm calling for a win on that one. Even though we lost to Brann, we looked good in that loss. And honestly, the women have been just absolutely smashing the WSL. Scoring for fun. Honestly, like, if you were down on United on the men's side, go watch the women, because at least they're a joy to watch, right? And I've got a one club mentality, right? So half of Manchester is suffering badly. The other half of Manchester, in terms of United, is doing very well. So, go check out the women. Go watch that game tomorrow. I might do a halftime show for that or a post match, because I will definitely be watching it, because I want to see us overturn this deficit against Brann. Also, a quick reminder. So, on my other channel, Football with Brian Martin, I've got it on which side? There we go. I'll get it eventually. This side here. It's called Football with Brian Martin. I'll link it below. I am doing a live halftime show for the Bayern and Chelsea match. So please tune in for that. And I might do a post-match discussion on that one as well on that channel. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. And yeah, like I said, we got Chelsea coming up next. I'll do a pre-match for that. I'll do a live halftime show. I'll do a post-match. So I hope you get involved. If you are new, please do subscribe, please like, please turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. I'm really trying to make this a community about you, and not one of those toxic communities where I call you an idiot or whatever for having an opinion, right? You are entitled to your opinion. You deserve to have your opinion. So I just want to come over here and discuss it and, eventually build a big community where we can all feel like this is a safe space to talk about Manchester United, and enjoy football. And if you want to do the same thing for other teams in general football, subscribe to my other channel. I'll link it below. And again, I am doing the live halftime show for the Bayern Chelsea match. With that said, I will keep it short and get out of here. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.